Hi, friends. In our time together today, I'm introducing the reel, the 8th of January. On the 8th of January. That's fun. Greg, a regular contributor to our community, said he thought it would be fun to introduce this tune today. And I completely agree. Greg, what a great idea. Thank you. This tune goes by a number of other names, including the Battle of New Orleans, you may know that one, the Gulf of Mexico, Jackson's Victory, and a few others. As far as I can tell, and we'll get into that in the history section, the tune we know may have actually been crafted off of an older traditional Irish tune, or at least that's the story. If anyone really knows. This is a tough tune for me to determine a score to share with us. There are quite a few settings, and they really vary. And some of them vary so much, you'd think that it was a different song written off of this one as the bass. But I think listening to a few of the most popular recordings that I've come up with, the core of the tune that'll work well on our whistles, because it needs a little massaging so that we could play it on our whistles, because it's an old fiddle tune that's also sung and it goes slightly out of the range of the whistle. We'll follow our usual format. I'll walk us through the tune and standing so you could see my hands. We'll talk about any challenges I think you'll experience. I'll share some ideas on ornamentation and expression, and we'll walk through a bit of the history of the tune, which with this one's really kind of fun. And so, because we know more. And I'll provide a link at the top of the notes to this video so that you could access the page on my website from which to download the music and tabs if you use those. So when I play through the tune, I'm going to play through it twice. The first time, I'll walk through some of the phrases, and you can go back and listen to each. But when I get to the play along with Scott's section, I'll play it at a slightly faster pace, so that once you know the sections, you could then play the whole tune with me and learn it that way. So, I think there are phrases we could break down. So I'll stand, I'll chat some, but I'm more interested in you seeing my hands. So the tune starts off with the phrase, and I'll play each of these phrases twice for you with a little pause in between. All right, then the second phrase. Second phrase again. All right, next phrase. Yes, that third phrase is very similar to the first, but with a little variation. So here's the third phrase again. All right, now the fourth phrase. yes, the fourth phrase is the same as the second phrase, but again on the fourth phrase. And now we move in, the tune changes the feel a little bit. I'm kind of think of this as the chorus if you're familiar with the way the tune goes. Here's the first phrase of the chorus. All right, that was a little difficult to know where to break that one. I'll play that again. All right, moving to the next phrase of the chorus. All right, I'll play that one again. All right, next phrase. And yes, that is the same as the run in the first phrase. Again. And then the last phrase. All right, the last phrase again. Alrighty, the phrasings are all very similar, and I think you'll find once you get the hang of that tune that it won't feel so crazy. And I hope I broke the phrasings up okay for you. So I now in the play along with Scott section, I'm going to play the entire tune straight through. You call it the verse and then the chorus, and I'll move through, play the whole thing for us at a slightly faster pace, because the intent is that you would go back to the phrasing section and learn the phrasing of this tune, and then come and play along with me. And that way you'll know it a little better. Here's the whole tune. Alrighty, that, my friends, is the whole tune. So go back through and the phrases section, learn the phrases, and then come and play along with me in the play along with Scott section. Now I want to do that because not everybody's reading music and able to print this out and play it, or using the tabs. A number of us learn by just listening and playing along. So I wanted to provide that opportunity a little better for all of us. Now, thinking through any difficulties you may experience, there are a couple of jumps that may present some challenges, like you're going from the low D to the second octave D. And so that might be a trouble. And I found in my initial practice that some of the runs I got a little stumbly on. So work on those. Remember how to work on those. Go at a pace you can. And then pick up the pace a little bit. And then as you pick up the pace, you'll find that it's clumsy. Work on that a little. Dial it back, play it cleanly, and then try to pick up the pace again until you can play it at that slightly faster pace. And then do that for each section of the tune where you find it stumbling. Now, if you read music, be careful, because this tune, as most traditional tunes, the rhythm of the tune is not a slave to the music. So much so that some people have even said, well, maybe it's a hornpipe. It's a reel, not a hornpipe. But, well, I guess I've read arguments about that, so I won't get into that. But what people mean is it's not played with just a straight fast rhythm. It has a flow and a syncopation to it. So I'd encourage you to listen to some of the folks who have some of the more popular versions of the tune to really get a feel and a flavor for how that syncopation runs. So thinking through ornamentation and expression, it's a tune that tells a story, and so therefore, in some ways, it's a ballad because of that. Not all ballads are slow and thoughtful love songs. Some can be fast, and this one, point in case. Actually, the guy that wrote the words and crafted the tune to fit the words referred to it as a ballad. We'll get into that. But anyway, so thinking about ornamentation and expression, make it a fun play, but make it a bit of a story so you've got some freedom of expression in there. And I hope you'll look up at least some of the sets of lyrics. There are lots of sets of lyrics. So you've got repeated notes, and think about the words as you go through. That's why I say look up the lyrics, because as you're going through, make it a little punchy in places. But also you've got great traditional ornaments you can throw in there. And I will have a practice session coming up where I'll share what I'm doing with it. And I want you, based on the ornaments you currently know, to experiment and play with this. But you think about the chorus. Yeah. Well, we fired our guns, the British kept coming. And you think about that. And so when you get to the chorus, think about that syncopation as you're playing it. So whatever you feel punches that. And you could do all kinds of things there. Hard tonguing, a roll, a tap, cut, something uber fun there. So mess around with that. All right. I want to hit the history of the tune briefly. Oh man, there's just so much. So I'm going to try and not spend too much time, but I'm really interested in you learning some of this. My main goal was finding the origins of the tune, but with this one you have to know a bit about the whole song and what's behind it. So many of us know a version popularized by Johnny Horton of the Battle of New Orleans. And that's the one that's in my brain. And I hear that as I'm playing it. But a guy named Jimmy Driftwood, and no, that was not his original name, it was his stage name. He composed the tune, at least the words, and then either wrote the tune or massaged another traditional tune to accompany the words. Jimmy, his stage name, he was born in Arkansas in the early 20th century, became a teacher, but this was during the Depression. And as a teacher in the Depression, in an impoverished area, a lot of the students were just, no one cared. No one cared about learning. And he's racking his brain. What can I do to teach? He was a history teacher. What can I do to teach history? He was also an accomplished musician and poet. So he thought, this is brilliant. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to write ballads, poems, to tell the stories of history, and I'll set them to music, and I'm gonna share the music with my students. And everybody loves music. This is gonna make my students excited about learning. And it was a success. Well done, Jimmy. I love creativity just splashing out all over the place. That's a really cool thing. So he wrote this poem, the Battle of New Orleans, in 1936 to teach the story of the battle that took place on January the 8th. And like I said, it said that he probably took a traditional Irish tune he knew and massaged it to go with his poem. At least that's the story. No one really knows for sure. Other schools started using the songs he wrote to teach history. And that's great. Jimmy crafted thousands of poems and songs. Was, like I said, an accomplished musician. Then after a while, he really wanted to become a musician in his own right. And so he started submitting his tunes to music publishers, and he started trying to make a name for himself as a musician, which then found him at the Grand Ole Opry, where he was a regular musician playing at the Grand Ole Opry. He met Johnny Horton there, and Jimmy gave Johnny permission to perform the tune and to record it. Johnny massaged the lyrics some because apparently Jimmy had a couple of swear phrases in there that the public didn't like in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. And so it wasn't as popular as it could have been. And Johnny really massaged the lyrics a little and made the tune even more fun. And that's the tune most of us have in our brains. And Johnny recorded it. It was released in 1959. Immediately ran to the top of the charts at that point. And like I said, that's the version that's in my brain. You can look them up. So look up the Jimmy Driftwood version. You could still find recordings of it. And look up the Johnny Horton version. You can actually find videos of him playing it. And that's a lot of fun. So get the tune in your brain, and then as you're playing it, let that spill out in your hands and in your expression of the tune. And like I said, I'll share a practice session in a couple of days. I've got other things we need to talk about. Please, I would really appreciate it if you'd help grow the community. If you join our community, please subscribe to our channel, because it's not just me. It's a bunch of us together as a community helping each other learn to play the whistle. We're focused on the low whistle, but we also talk a lot of high whistle, and we'll get into some medium whistles too. If this video has been helpful, please like it. That helps spread the news of the video, and others can find it. If you know some whistle players who should join our community to either contribute and learn or learn and then contribute, please share our videos with them. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling.